Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving into a really deep and fascinating spiritual concept from the mystic Neville Goddard. We're talking about the 6 marks of Jesus. And let me tell you, this has nothing to do with ancient history, because Goddard believed this entire drama unfolds right inside of you. So, here's our plan for this journey. We're going to kick things off by busting the myth of the stigmata. Then, we'll explore how Goddard saw the Bible not as a history book, but as a personal parable. After that, we'll get into the mind-bending concept of God becoming you. We'll break down the 6 mystical marks themselves and get to the ultimate realization of I am. And finally, we'll see why this is all a living, breathing process that's happening right now. All right, so let's get right into it. When you hear the phrase, the marks of Jesus, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's physical wounds, right? Well, Neville Goddard asks us to completely set that image aside and look way deeper into the realm of our own consciousness. And this is where the big distinction lies. You've got the common belief over here, the stigmata, these physical wounds on a person from long ago. But what Goddard taught is something else entirely. He's talking about a sequence of incredibly profound, totally internal spiritual experiences. These are events that happen inside your own mind, completely invisible to anyone on the outside. So when Goddard reads this line from the Apostle Paul, he has a radical take. He says Paul wasn't talking about physical scars. No way. Paul was declaring that he had completed this inner mystical journey. He was saying, I've gone through the experiences. I bear the proof of this spiritual awakening, not the wounds of some physical event. Now, to really get a handle on this, you have to understand the foundation of all of Goddard's work. And it's this. The Bible is not a history book. It's a psychological blueprint for you and me. This is such a critical idea to grasp. For Goddard, people like Moses or Abraham or David, they aren't historical figures who lived and died thousands of years ago. No, they are eternal states of consciousness. They're like stages of spiritual growth that every single one of us is destined to experience and move through on our own journey. And that brings us right to the heart of it. The entire story of Jesus, from his birth to his resurrection, isn't a historical account. It's an acted-out parable. It's basically the script for the final act of this divine play, and the stage for that play is your own individual consciousness. The story isn't about someone else from 2,000 years ago. It's about you, right here, right now. Okay, so if the Bible is a map of our own consciousness, that leads us straight into the mystical core of Goddard's teaching. This incredible idea that the creator and the creation, well, they're actually one and the same. This quote is just wow. It's from one of Goddard's own mystical experiences. He heard this voice coming from the very depths of his being, explaining the ultimate mystery. The idea is that God, the great dreamer, willingly placed himself inside every single one of us, fell asleep, and is now dreaming the unique dream that is your life and my life. And this leads to a total 180 on how we view the crucifixion. In this light, it's not some historical act of torture. For Goddard, it's a mystical moment of remembrance, a moment of, in his words, sheer ecstasy, when you finally remember God's loving, deliberate choice to become you, so that you, in the end, could awaken and realize that you are God. All right, now for the main event. What exactly are these 6 invisible, mystical marks that signal this divine dream is finally ending and the great awakening has begun? Here they are, the 6 marks of the journey. First up, the crucifixion, remembered not as pain but as an ecstatic act of love. The second mark is the resurrection. You literally awaken with a start inside your own skull and realize it's a tomb you've been sleeping in. Third, the birth. You then witness a sign of your own spiritual birth, a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes. Fourth is fatherhood. The great biblical king David appears in your mind's eye and calls you his father. Fifth, the ascent. You feel this incredible energy like a fiery serpent rising straight up your spine into your head. And finally, the 6th mark, approval. A dove descends upon you not as a bird, but as a seal of knowing, a final confirmation that the journey is complete. So why? What's the whole point of this incredible sequence of inner events? Well, it all leads to one single, massive, universe-shattering realization. And this quote is the key. It's not about believing that some guy from history was he. It's about you. When this sequence of events happens within your own being, you will know, with a certainty that nothing can ever shake, that your own consciousness, your fundamental feeling of I am, is God. You are the He that the scriptures have been talking about all along. So the whole point comes down to this. I am isn't just a phrase. According to this teaching, it is the actual name of God. And the entire spiritual journey, all 6 marks, are designed to bring you to that unshakable inner conviction that your own awareness, that simple feeling of being right now, is the one and only God there is.
And that brings us to our last point. And honestly, it might just be the most important one of all. This isn't just some cool mystical theory to think about or an ancient story to read.
See, Goddard felt it was a huge mistake to teach that the resurrection happened one time, 2,000 years ago, and that was it. He argued that it is a living, breathing, continuous process. Right now, at this very moment, someone, somewhere in the world, is awakening from the dream of life. This divine drama is constantly pressing for fulfillment in every single one of us. So we'll end on this thought. If Neville Goddard is right, if the Bible is a map of consciousness, then it's not meant to just be read or studied. It's meant to be experienced. And so the real question it leaves for all of us is this: what is your own experience, your own consciousness revealing to you? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.